Good day, everyone. I hope you can hear me. My name is Inga Dreimane, and I am a psychologist and a practitioner in forest therapy. A little bit about me in psychology area. I am since 2005. When I have to count for how long it is, it seems that it should be very serious, but I don't feel serious. I learned this therapy. I will tell you how I got to engaging in this issue, how nature entered my daily life through running, through walking, also through very many interesting acknowledgments about nature came from my experience being a land guard through land guard exercises. This is how and why I engaged in it. And this helps a lot also when practicing forest therapy with young people. How it helped a lot, why to do certain things and why not to do. But please be seated the way you feel comfortable for you not to fall off your chairs. In front of you, you have a wonderful plant placed on the table. And I urge you for some time, do observe this plant. Colors, lines, space, what is around the plant and between the leaves. And when I say stop, then you can stop observing the plant.
Stop. Nu vai kādam.
Were you bored? You can raise your hand. Be courageous. Anyone who wants to continue observing the plant for quite some time, yes. Anyone who has been scolded as a child, close your mouth. Because you have allowed yourself to wander with an open mouth. So this is a 1-minute insight into what forest therapy is. We don't need so much in order to feel, to get this feeling, but this is more than that. So about what is forest therapy and what it is based upon. What is therapy and what is not therapy? We can say that anything can be therapeutic. Anything, by the way, can be therapeutic in our lives. But it does not mean that this is the therapeutic process. I always like to hear that cosmetologists, beauty specialists, as well as hairstylists, as well as shop assistants do call themselves psychologists. So I consider that I could work as a hairdresser, or that stylists are psychotherapists, because they are also listening and healing people. And then when I start asking people, how often have you frequented a therapist? And they say, I am healthy, I don't need a therapist. So this is a reminder how important it is to be humane. Without human conversation, and nothing can happen. But it does not mean that any conversation is a therapeutic process or a consultation, as with everything in our lives. So at one point, people have found out that the forest could be not only therapeutic, but also a process through which we can achieve a result. But the beginning lies in this connection between a human being and a nature. Or another belief is that we are a part of nature, depending whether we are using the notion a person, a human in nature, or a human and nature. The next step is just to observe certain activities, what we do in nature. It is farming, it's planting, it's agriculture, forestry, gardening. We care all the time. We garden from morning to evening, and then morning comes and we go and garden yet again. But we also go in nature during leisure time. As my friends say, people are divided in three nations: forest people, sea people, and mountain people. So people either feel belonging to one of those tribes. Those sea people, the mountain people, now raise your hands. In Latvian wetlands, also mountain people can be grown. And the forest people, majority of us are forest people. When we go for recreation in nature, we go for walks, we follow trails, we go on picnics, and then there are challenges, or we go try out this one, or no, this one, and then we need equipment. I cannot hike without proper equipment, but maybe we don't need an equipment. 5 years ago, I had an experience. In winter, I went on a walk along Brasla River. I had a jacket, appropriate footwear, and in front of me there were people exclaiming, "Oh, it's slippery!" And I was thinking, what's happening? I had hiking boots, and I wait for them, and I see that there are families with and women having nice boots, having Circle K paper cup coffee and fur coats, but they are sliding. Although nice pictures were taken, and they had nicer pictures than I did, but I didn't slip on the slope. So it's a question what we need. And this question, this issue, why I touched upon it in the context of forest therapy, who is it suited for, and what do I need to do it? Why, or do I need equipment? Do I need a hammock, a backpack, footwear? Maybe I need a kettle, or a knife, but maybe I don't need all of it. Just some things or nothing at all. And then Japanese culture that is very ancient and well known with their traditions to observe. They were one of the first ones introducing that this recreation in nature could be something beneficial for our health. And then in 1982, according to the order and program of the government, there was this program, Shirin Yaku, or forest bathing. In Latvian, we are using the word or looking for the word for example, refreshment or bathing. If it's the direct interpretation, this is more of a bathing, but content-wise, it is more refreshment. Get the refreshment from the nature, taking into account all the tasks that we have to achieve. That's why I like the word in Latvian. We use the word to get refreshment when you are thirsty. You satire your thirst. That is the direct translation in Latvian. And if you are aim-driven, then based on that, you can create a forest therapy program. What are the main differences, and what are the common things in order to see that the essence, the common thing is there? The main task is to be in nature or in somewhere where there is nature. It can be a balcony full of potted tomato plants, or some balcony flowers, let's say petunia, or some other plants. I am not very good in naming all the flowers, but this is a good beginning. But forest therapy foresees us being in the nature between trees. It can be also a park, as it was mentioned, a structured, tidy environment where I can feel comfortable enough. It can be a national park where people did not mingle with nature for 50 years, for 100 years, where people have not touched anything. Woods of South Africa or South America. Being in nature, forest therapy, forest bathing is focused on well-being, on feeling good, but it does not necessarily mean joy, being happy. The primary task is to be more relaxed, more calmer. You can have different emotions, you can have different feelings, many memories, but the main goal is to feel relaxation or relaxed. And also mushroom picking or mushroom harvesting. This is something that Latvians do. My forest therapy is mushroom picking. And I would say this is a national sports of Latvians, but it is not necessarily a forest therapy or forest bathing. How therapy differs from bathing, therapy uses all our senses, not only hear, see, but also tackle, feel the temperature, smell, feel the balance, also taste, all those notions. And when we are mushroom picking, what our attention is based upon to notice mushrooms, but maybe we should allow ourselves to notice where do I go, what is around the nature. After one bathing expedition, one participant said, I saw the chanterelles, but you told me not to touch them, but I will return there. So I told, thank you for not picking them now. And some hours afterwards, we talked with this girl, and I asked her, did you go and harvest them? She said, no, I let them grow there. Sometimes Latvians are boasting about their catch of mushrooms, that they have buckets and buckets full of mushrooms and what to do with them. Maybe I need only 10 mushrooms to make mushroom sauce, and maybe others I could leave in the forest. And what else differs when we go on bathing in forest? It means paying attention to myself and having good intentions when looking around. There is an example about two children. One of them, for the first time, goes to the countryside, and there are chicken. And one of those children sits down, and those chicken approach him. But the other child also wants to have chicken close to him. He reaches for the chicken and chases after it, and the chicken, of course, runs away, disappearing in somewhere, not coming out. So this kindness allows or asks to enter the nature and to stop, what come what may. Because average speed of forest bathing, you can guess. What is the average speed of forest bathing expedition? How many kilometers per hour? 4, 3? Anyone saying less or more? 1 kilometer. Average speed is 700 meters up to 1.5 kilometers per hour. 700 meters up to 1.5 kilometers per hour. Very slowly and even slower than that.
Nu, cik tad man tālu būs jānoiet šodien? Kuriem cilvēkiem tas ir piemērots? Ja, nu es jau nestaigāju tik daudz, es jau nevaru 20 kilometrus nostaigāt, bet 700 metrus varbūt ka var stundas laikā nostaigāt.
Then we have to answer the question: how long will it take? How much distance will I have to cover? And as we spoke about walking with children and what concerns forest therapy, then we have to ask what it means to be there and what it means to listen to various sounds and noises in the forest. And people keep telling me that, I heard this, like bees buzzing and other insects being there. So this forest bathing, it's a therapeutic outcome, demonstrates that we do not need that much. We don't need to cover 30 kilometers every week. We don't need to listen to podcasts every time or music. We don't need extensive picnic every time. We don't need a sleeping bag and a tent or a hammock every time. We can allow ourselves just to sit down for a moment. And then we have to ask how this forest bathing becomes therapeutic. So we have everything that we just discussed. And in addition to that, we see the difficulties that the group has, the challenges. Maybe these are people who have faced violence. And then we have to look at which aspects need to be restored. For example, trust, openness. Because when you suffer from violence, one of the greatest challenges is to stay open. Because the the logical instinct is to close, to separate yourself from the world. And then you have to ask how to help these people to return. Or let's say people have experienced death and they have experienced that the life ends. How we can help them to experience life. I read in a book, I think it was a Canadian writer, Lucy Montgomery, and there was Anne from the Green Roofs, and who said that a building becomes a home when a wedding has taken place, a child has been born there, and someone has passed away in that building, and then the building becomes a home. And the same applies to a totality of trees, when trees become a forest. at the moment when they are young and perfect trees, or maybe when there is an imperfect tree, or maybe a falling tree or fallen tree who is disintegrating, or maybe when we find some bones there or caves. At what moment a forest becomes a forest? And that's where we are going to. But we also take into account the environment where the people live in. Because during the therapeutic process, I have to find the environment that is accessible and where the people are ready to go, instead of taking them to the most exotic and most beautiful place that will be breathtaking and inspiring and whatever. But if they can repeat it, people will not go from Liepāja to Daugavpils every week, or from Daugavpils to Ventspils, and not even from Riga to Cēsis. It seems that, it's just an hour. But as soon as you have to practically find time to go there, to stay there for some time and to return, it's half a day already. So my task is to find the environment that is accessible on daily basis. For example, Vermene Park, or the or Meža area, or Liepāja Beach, or Langstiņa Lake, or Valmiera Forest Trails, where the teachers can go with the class just within 5 or 10 minutes. Like, let's go, and hop in the car, and we are there. So accessibility is very important. My preparation involves speaking with people so that they can tell what their experience with forest is, because there are people who say, I don't want to return to the forest ever, because as soon as I return there, I start panicking, or fog makes you panic. And what is that painful, traumatic experience that has resulted in these feelings? And the aim of the program is to restore and strengthen the existing resources. I want to say that the forest therapy is not the main method that is used during the therapeutic period, because its task is to support the healing process as a part of the psychotherapy or psychological consultation. Maybe in Latvia not so much, but in Germany this is used to help people recover from COVID. So it's a supporting method as a part of the healing process. It's not the primary method, but it just supports the overall process. So the forest bathing is this main instrument, all of our senses, kindness to yourself, attention to the environment where we are. And now I would like to invite you to make sure that you are sitting comfortably, that you feel stable. If you are able to turn your head, let's say if your neck is fine, it doesn't hurt, maybe you can look around and see what plants you have here, what colors you see in these plants. Can you see shadows and light? And which corner is hidden the most? And keep watching and try to see what sounds you can hear. Do you hear how you are breathing? Or maybe some technical noises? if you have a dog at home, do you remember what noises your dog made today? And if you have a pen or a phone or headphones, put them on your palm and let you feel the weight of this object on your palm. And just with the tips of your fingers, try to touch this object to see whether it's soft, cold, hard, warm. And let this object touch your skin. And if you have a coffee mug full or empty or a glass of water, pick it up and smell. What smell can you feel? And after that, if there is some liquid there, just try it. Leave it under your tongue. Don't swallow it. Taste it. And now you can swallow. And this is just a short outline how we experience senses. So what did you think about when you focused on your senses? And this is one of our main tasks, because on daily basis we often keep hearing like, don't think about it, stay calm. And what reactions do you have when you hear someone saying, don't think about it, stay calm? Less than a month ago, we had a family gathering, and on the second day, we are quite tired, and I have to drive, and I have to make sure that I don't lose the keys. So, not to lose the keys, I left the keys in the car. And my dad came and said, could you give me the keys because the car is closed? It's locked. And I said, no, it cannot be. But eventually we saw that the car is locked and the keys are inside. And then it was, then it was a very interesting experience for all of us because we tried to somehow unlock the car or break into the car. And someone just said me like, stay calm, be calm. And I said to this person, don't tell me this. When I'm there, I will feel the peace. I will be fine. But now I focus on the key. Will it be possible to get into the car or not? Because the other key is 300 kilometers away. So instead of making someone stay calm or feel good, we give these people an opportunity. And sometimes that helps immediately and people can be fine right away. But sometimes it doesn't work like that. And then I have to feel how it should proceed. And what the nature does, it helps us deal with difficult situations easier, the sadness, the angerness, maybe some accidents or disasters. we need least time to recover from natural disasters, and most time is needed for human-made disasters. And I think that is the code, the pattern that we have, because we accept such disasters easier. It's not so emotionally charged. Of course, it is painful when the floods wash our home away, but we do not continue being angry so long as, for example, when we lose a house due to negligence of some person, because we initiate a court process and so on. And it's more difficult for us to let go in such situations. Our way forward is quite fast, and our mind makes conclusions even faster. What to do with all of that? Is it nice or not nice? As soon as we open eyes, we look at ourselves in the mirror, and we immediately know how we look like. Or when we see an unanswered call from our boss from our bosses in the phone, we already have some hunch what we need to prepare for. Forest therapy allows us to make a step back before we make a conclusion, to stay in these observations, in these facts, instead of running forward. When I work at schools with youth, I usually give an example to teachers. I hope that there are no robots here. So I'll use this name instead of the always used Emil. So let's say a robot is a sort of a thug. Is that a fact or a conclusion? It sounds more like a conclusion, and everyone understands that. Robots is always late. Is that a fact or a conclusion? A fact. Can you tell what is the number that you see in front of you when someone says regularly is late? For some it's every day, for some once per week, twice per week, 3 times per day. What does it mean? Regularly late, always late. So we don't even notice to what extent we have already taught ourselves to jump to conclusions right away. So it's always immediately clear to us whether to fight, to run, or to be friends, because time is money. But this idea that we just stop and we just tell to us, yes, Robert has missed his classes 3 times this week, instead of saying again he missed his classes. And how long will he not miss any classes? For how long will he not miss any classes? For 3 days, for a week, or longer, 2 weeks? So we just make a step back. With what does the nature and the therapy helps us? Life is a series of changes. We keep asking ourselves, our children just grew up instantly, or how did the summer go? It was just midsummer, and now it's Christmas, and where did the time go? The results are delivered not just by one process, but by several processes that lead us to the desired result. There are several paths in front of us. We cannot claim that our daily experience results from nothing. We cannot claim that there should be a series of events to experience one or the other result, and we can see that in the nature, because this chain of events leads to the next experience. Active and passive action is important in life, both speaking up and staying silent. And the nature can remind us that incubation period is also important. For example, we accumulate our energy, knowledge, strengths, and then at some moment in time we can start using the accumulated during specific processes to achieve specific results. Creative people know this very well, and I think that also applies to landscape architects, because they have to complete a project, and then it's like a winding down. It's like an empty ball or an empty balloon. And then we ask, what can we do with this emptiness? We start feeling depressive, closing way, we want to sleep, we want to do it slower, and we feel that something is wrong with us because we want to stay in our space. But this is also a needed and healthy process, because we should allow us once in a while to stay closed in. And God forbid if someone opens, let's say, the egg before its due time, the chicken will die. So we need this incubation period. And since our lives are so dynamic, we cannot really observe this incubation period. So we have to observe it somewhere else. We have to experience somewhere else. For example, a beehive. We have to wait when it's time, right time to collect the honey. Is it time or not time? We should also wait for the berries to ripen. So we need this waiting and accumulation period. We speak about forest therapy and forest bathing. Whom can it help? It can contribute to well-being, to feel good about one's life. And it doesn't mean only joy or happiness, because there are also painful, unwanted things in our lives, our duties, obligations, but we also have to be able, even considering these factors, have to feel well, if not great, that at least well, and it's a part of our lives, because being the ability to accept anger, sadness, and so on, it's also a part of our lives. It helps to improve emotional management. For example, when we work with the youth in crisis centers, the teachers are quite skeptical. They say, let's see, I don't think anything good will come out of this. And we go there for 2 to 3 hours into the forest, and the teachers say, I don't recognize these people. They don't mock each other. They support each other. They respect each other. That also helps the emotional management, because quite often small children make the adolescents crazy. Even their breathing irritates them. And, during this therapeutic walk, everyone walks together, and the group consists of children aged 5 to 15, and it's just how it works. And after the class, we speak with them, and I ask them, did you note something specific today? And they say, these children didn't irritate me. And I was really happy that I didn't have to hold their hand. And then I have to ask myself, why I think that this is so important for them that they are able not to hold the hand for 2 hours. Emotional management doesn't mean that we don't feel anything or freeze our emotions. No, we do feel, but we are not panicked. We don't become hysterical because we just have these emotions. It helps alleviate depression instead of just treating it right away. But it just gives you this breathing space so that you can work with this depression, try to treat it. Yes, maybe you will not become joyful right away, but it helps reduce the apathy, lack of motivation, or the feeling of that nothing makes sense, that nothing is needed. It's not about being just happy. But yes, people feel happier for a moment. This therapy also contributes to recovery after long diseases like long COVID, for example. In my practice, I have only had a few cases I have had a patient that, someone went to forest for 2-3 hours to the forest and was active and did many things, and now for half an hour, and this person feels like unable to do anything else. So we find a way how to spend 2-3 hours in the forest and cover maybe not 15 kilometers like before COVID, but just 1.5 kilometers or 2. Also stress management to restore our vitality and ability to act also helps to recover after mental tiredness, exhaustion. I think if you work with documents, with information in front of the computer, you know this very well. It seems that you haven't moved the entire day, but you feel so exhausted, so empty. And the forest therapy can help you restore yourself after such experiences. Also, it helps to reduce the aggression. For example, you can tell the youth, go as slowly as you can, and when you walk as slowly as you can, walk even slower. And then just stop. And they say, okay, we just stand. This therapy also contributes to cognitive processes, because it's no secret that if you work with people and large amounts of information, you have to adapt, you have to solve problems, and so on. These cognitive processes in such situations are just required, and they are used and consumed. And then we have to ask how to strengthen these abilities. Some say, I don't have to go to the gym because I do this physical work. And then they reach the age of 35 and there is a herniated disc and everything hurts and aches and they think that they are physical active, but physical activity depends from physical activity, differs from physical activity. So do you do anything to restore your muscle strength? And the same applies to our attention. If we need to focus all the time, we don't restore it. We just consume and use it. And by doing the forest bathing, we can look at these senses one by one and strengthen the focus. We don't have to react all the time like calling or writing emails or whatever. We train ourselves to maintain our focus. And also, though it's just 700 meters per hour, it also improves our physical strength. Of course, we also have more active classes, but maybe that wouldn't be for everyone or during the first class and not for all participants.
Struktūra, kā tas izpaužās,
The structure, how it prominates. This intervention structure is a part of the whole recovery process. If the person is burned out, so the question is, what other help do you get? Do you need to recover, to renew physical activity? Maybe you have to go to get the massage, or maybe ergotherapist or occupational therapist. Acknowledgement of life experience, what your life experience has been like. How many of you have spent your childhood in nature? Even that fact is very important. You just then have to remember how it was being in nature. There's a puddle, there is mud. It is interesting. This is where I want to be. So what your life experience has been like. Look for the environment that is the most appropriate for these people, for this people, and it is not endless. It is structured, and for the structure to be created in a certain period of time. Let's say in 6 lessons in the period of 12 weeks, every second or even every third week. But in between, they have a certain homework. Usually it is a repetition of what we've done during a lesson. How much of sea bathing is needed? Scotland, South Korea, also Spanish universities in their studies describe that on a daily basis it is enough to spend 15 to 30 minutes in nature. These are 300 meters. You can walk in your garden with a cup of tea to diminish those symptoms. Even if we measure blood pressure, pulse, they reconfirm that they get back to normal. Stress symptoms decrease, and we can approach the problem solving. Or once a week, 2 to 3 hours. That is another approach. It is not so much as to allocate a day for it. As I have mentioned in the beginning, surrounding forests or parks are sufficient, but I have to say that the wilder the forest, the more animals, birds, species are represented, the better they are. In our sessions, we have gone to forests that have been touched by forest fire. And although for a daily recreation, it is not customary to go there for our leisure practices, but for therapeutical effects to be reached, it is necessary, and it is interesting to see the blackened, the charred wood, and then it is a surprise to see the green grass yet again. More comfortable it is to do in the spring and summer, because as it is so slow, you get cold in winter. And suggestion for clothing is to take one additional layer or additional jacket, or in winter, autumn, take a blanket or a cover with you. But the feelings you get in winter in forest are amazing. I have gone with people for forest bathing in the temperature that reaches -15. I myself go even in -20, but you have to inform people not to wear anything fancy to impede their movement, also to have an extra cover. If a person is acutely in pain, for example, a person has to lay down, there has to be a consultation with a doctor, but you have to explain that you're not going to be climbing any mountains or climbing any trees, that this process is slow. And if we are going without a specialist or a guide, you have to choose a trail where you can find a way back, where you are not getting lost. I am often looking for to be lost. This is another actually approach, allow people to get lost and then to be able to find their way out or back. But this is not for beginners. This is not in the initial lessons. Speaking about the structure of forest therapy, what is necessary, what is not necessary. And for the completion, I want to tell you a story that gave me also this understanding how much I can help. A conversation with a former inmate that has spent more time in prison than outside. He has been imprisoned for murder as well as armed robbery, and he had conversations with many specialists, and I had to talk to him as well. And he had some control questions. And he asked me a question, how can I forgive myself what I did? I don't have an answer how to forgive yourself. And then we talked what is happening when the feeling occurs that you are looking for the forgiveness. And he said, I feel like a tree that is being torn by the wind. And I asked them, and at what moment the tree comes in, and he said, when I look at trees, they kind of give me calm. And when you see or feel that the branches are being torn by the wind, but the bulk stays rigid. So in this process, in a process of forgiveness, there are parts that are being torn, but there is a part of you that stays strong, that stays grounded. So you can look at the foliage, at leaves, at branches that are being torn and mingled with. So you have these feelings of taking a life, of doing bad things, but you can find a humanness as a core in yourself, even in this necessity to look for this forgiveness as something stable. So may you have a stable trunk that stays grounded in you. Thank you.
Paldies, Inga. Mums ir gan
Thank you, Inga. We do have a lot of time for questions, and I can ask my first question. Inga, first question, how can you become a forest therapist? What are the basic skills or the education? How did you become one? I studied in one of the biggest European schools based in Portugal. They do have two levels. The first level, teaching in forest bathing supporter and forest bathing practitioner. The first one is kind of easier. You can be a geologist and a landscape architect and other professions, but this is how you can become a companion. And my education as a psychologist helped me to become a companion, but to become a practitioner, a practitioner of forest bathing, this is additional psychology course on main mental illnesses. In my case, as I have a psychologist education, I can organize individual or group therapy sessions. I look in the context. If it is in a group, if I organize in establishments, for example, a social worker joins me, but if a person is neither doctor nor psychologist or a therapist, this person being a companion should, as mandatory obligation, work in pair with a specialist. So you should not take upon yourself this task of being a therapist, because at one point you can be asked a question that you cannot answer. About physical health, I am not very good at, but then I can turn the person to a doctor or a psychiatrist. If the person has anxiety issues or depression, I'm not telling that forest therapy, forest bathing is going to heal you, that you won't have to take any medications. You don't have to torture yourself. You have to see the psychiatrist, and if they prescribe medication, you have to take them. Another question, all the therapies are based in certain philosophy or thinking traditions, and the example that you told us about is connected with mindful being or mindfulness or acknowledgement. Can you tell about the basis of forest bathing? What is it based upon? Speaking about forest therapy, the basis lies on two theories. The first one, created by Zygmunt Baumanis, who is a Polish philosopher, sociologist, and his theory on liquid modernity, this flowing modernism, that everything is so changing in our lives that we cannot rely on something only on something static. The second theory comes from Piotr Stoika, social becoming or social transformation processes, that we are a vessel, and in us as vessels, transformation occurs, and we let out of ourselves another processes, another results, and we can give further, as well as this concept of mindfulness coming from Japan. Japan has studied it a lot, this mindfulness issue. So these are the three pillars that this forest bathing is based upon. Other questions? Laura, you said that you have a question. Hello, my name is Laura, and I wanted to ask a question. Who is the owner of those programs, training psychologists on plants? Do we have a Ministry of Education or someone else? How can it be done? How do you do that? In Latvia, it is non-existent. Do not mix up forest therapy with forest education. In forest education, people are informed about species, about flora, about fauna. This is this plant. This is an invasive plant. This is a rare plant. This part in forest therapy is touched upon very little because it takes away therapeutical effect. Information comes too much. You cannot concentrate on your senses by receiving so much information. I do not distinguish all the mushrooms or 700 species of mushrooms. I do not know whether they are poisonous or not. I am not inviting people to pick berries, and unless I am absolutely certain that this is a blackberry, I do not invite people to pick them and eat them. Speaking about educational programs, I would like to train or to be trained as a psychologist or a psychotherapist. If I wanted to be trained in forest bathing, then do we have a program in Latvia? No, we don't have in Latvia. I studied in Portugal, but these are online studies as well. So from anywhere in the world you can do that. In Germany, no, in Germany there are no such courses, but in Sweden, Scandinavian Forest Therapy Society, so Swedes do train, but they have a problem training in English. They do training only in Swedish. First, we have to learn Swedish and then forest bathing or forest therapy. Hello, thank you very much for most interesting lecture. My name is Ilse. I wanted to ask, you shared the experience that you worked with the former convict, a person who has killed someone. Did you go in a forest with him? Did you have a dog with you? No, I went without a dog. This was within a camp, special camp, where there were 20 former convicts and 2 specialists. One of those were male. Yeah, thank you very much for your most interesting lecture. I have a question whether forest therapy gives its effect in anxiety issues. If there are so many things that you can be anxious of in the forest, ticks, plants, snakes, bears even, yes, we have to take that into account. So we have to know or find out beforehand how safe people feel in forest. If people are afraid of forests, I am afraid of bears. That's why I do not go to alūksne forests. That's why we go where it's safe. If you are afraid of ticks, then use a repellent. I have a repellent with me, and if someone has forgotten his, then I do blow their boots or pants, or they use some oils, then they can use that. Speaking about snakes, I have not encountered any on my walks so far. You cannot encounter them so often. They are afraid of people, but maybe in April, May, they are coming out to, for example, where there is old grass. But in forests, they do not appear so often. My colleague has walked upon a moose by walking so quietly, so mindfully. I have not encountered any wild animals, but this morning I saw a dead mouse, a rabbit, a fox, and a deer or a doe this morning. And not every person is offered going directly to the forest. I am offering whether you want to go to the forest, or we can walk in the park, in Vērmanes Park, or an adolescent says, oh, I was left in a meadow where there was a fog when it rained, and I don't want to return there. So we walk there only in daytime when it's light and sunny. I take that into account. So I would say forest bathing, not now, not for everyone. That's why there are so many therapies, art therapies, behavioral, cognitive therapy, so many other things that can be used. This is what was good for me, my personal road where I needed this connection with the nature, with forests. Thank you very much. For quite some time, I am also dreaming about engaging into forest bathing. The nearest place is in Poland, where I could study it. You are a practicing psychologist. Can you integrate this therapy in individual work with the client? And how do you tackle with all the codes, all the bureaucracy, all the conditions for consultation? So how do you deal with the formal processes? Our profession is regulated. Psychologist is not forbidden of practicing in nature. If beforehand I do tell it to the client, explain how it works, and until now I have not seen any obstacles in that. So we plan the time. It might be a longer time, 1.5 hours, not 1 hour to get there. So then we do it for 1.5 hours. Also, when cooperating with Crisis Center, then we plan for time, for certain time, and we have additional specialists from that establishment. They are there, and if a child from the group needs special assistance, then another specialist is there. First aid it was very useful for me, if necessary, to provide first aid. We do that, then if necessary we return back. Our trail or our route is well known to the director of the establishment, to the group manager. I can describe it in my notes, what I have been doing, similar to sand therapy. This method is also integrated in practical practitioner as one of the methods. Another question.
Yes. Do you have a garden? Why did you choose forest therapy instead of gardening therapy? Thank you.
Yes, that's my trauma. Jā, man tad jautājums.
So the question was about why not gardening, because I was traumatized by gardening. From early childhood, I felt better in a forest because I have grown up in forest. My parents has always had a garden. Also, we had a farmstead. My parents had a farmstead with all the consequences. It has been 20 years when we don't have to gather hay, but we still talk about how good it is that we don't have to cut hay and gather hay for animal feed. Forest was always the place where I could be free of my chores, where I could do nothing. But my parents were the ones who introduced me to forests. In spring, I was brought to look for bluebells, for fallen trees, my own experience and my own necessity afterwards. It is as if returning home. Thank you very much. What is your personal achievement after one or another of sessions? I am satisfied, I am content every time, after each session. But if you want me to pick one, the biggest satisfaction was after one group of young people with whom I went into the forest, and it was pouring rain. We were so wet. At one point, we decided not to forest bathe for 3 hours, that 1.5 hours is okay. But returning back, at one point, no one was hurrying, and they've said, let's not hurry back, especially one boy who was very traumatized. He told me how good it is to just walk. So I have fulfilled my duty to give you the opportunity to find certain peacefulness of mind in walk in forest. In winter, let's say minus 10 degrees in winter pine forest, nothing interesting, but until the moment when you start paying attention or observing all the bulks of pine trees with their different barks. This year, one forest bathing, we started at 3 a.m. We walked up the hill for 500 meters. We covered this distance in 1.5 hours, and they said, we are not tired at all. People said, I am not tired at all. Thank you very much for this most interesting lecture. I am a walker in nature myself. I'm an enthusiast. I just walked 600 kilometers in 1 month from Riga to Tallinn. Not everyone has to do that, but I see it as a very powerful practice, self-walking, self-incubation, self-unplugging period. But I do see around myself, especially working in this very dynamic business environment, mental health issues prominate more and more. Burnout cases occur more often. And in my experiences, I do see that guided walks in the sea, also in forest, could be the new it. How do you see the potential for it in Latvia? I am very happy that I am not the only one who've learned by doing. Also, Ilse is in this process of learning, so we do have huge ideas and huge plans in this area, but specifically there are some activities planned for next year. Last year we had a 3-day event for children in cooperation with Crisis Center. This year we have had it as well, and in autumn we will have it for teachers how they can help themselves and how they can go on walks with their pupil. This is a question of human resources, how much we can do ourselves. But it is good for us in Latvia because for many of us, for the majority, where forest is not foreign. We just have to recall that. Will we be able to turn it in the project of millions? I don't know. I could add, Inga was my trainer, and I myself participated in this training program. If you are asking me whether I will become a forest bathing companion or therapist, no. It helped me a lot to help myself, to understand others, also working as a landscape architect to what I have to pay attention, not only in the forest, but for all the environment that we are being in, whether we are creating a trail, walking trail, or a forest environment, or something, a landscape bed in the city, to be bathed in nature, be it in the forest or be it in the park. Thank you, Ilse, for this edition. Can we have the last question from this side? Hello, I have a question. You spoke about walking, but what do you think what do you think about staying in the forest, let's say, for a week? I do not mean in tents, but let's say be it an equipped house, hunter's house, and to have an individual or a group therapy there. So we've had it last year for 3 days in normal houses with pillows and blankets. A roof over the roof. There are no tents. For many children, this was the first experience being away from their parents. This was very helpful related to comfort and comfort issues. We had 2 sessions in the morning or in the afternoon. Some children challenged us to walk also at night. We gazed at stars. We rolled down the hill all together. So there are no restrictions for that. We wanted to go home after 3 days, but most of the children didn't want. Parents came to collect their children. Most of them said we would want to stay, but it can be done under the stars as well, without a tent or without comfortable environment. So thank you. Let us applaud to our second lecturer.